Hello and happy Taco Tuesday. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here, and I want to introduce you to my little friend. I don't even know what we call her. She is just like she's my favorite thing. She's my favorite thing on the internet, and I love Taco Tuesday so much. I always have to bring her out. I need to give her a name, right? Like I feel like Rita or something. Like I'm thinking like Senorita, and also makes me think of margarita, which makes me think of Taco Tuesday. So I don't know. This is Rita. This is our new friend Rita. That's what we're going to call her. Hi, everyone. So happy that you're here. Oh, we got someone. So we have Canada. Now we have Germany. We have Cheryl. Hello, Cheryl. So happy that you're here. We have Anne from Vegas. Oh, this is going to be so much fun. So today I am really excited. First of all, that y'all are here because I am grateful for this community and the way that y'all show up every single week. And we don't have a ton to talk about today other than just hanging out, chatting about podcasts. And then, of course, we're going to have tons of time for questions. So if you have any specific questions for your podcast, let me see. I always have this cute little... There you go. Type a Q in the front of any question that you have because it helps me go. And there's this new feature. Okay, I'm going to nerd out on you a little bit because this is really exciting. I use StreamYard. That's the tool that I use to go live. If you want to check it out, you can go to crystalprofit.com/StreamYard. Actually, I have a little banner. This is what it looks like. So powered by StreamYard. That's what this is right here, how I'm able to do all these cool little banners and everything like that. But what they recently did is they made it to where I can star comments. So if you have a question, I can star it and then I can come back to it later so it doesn't get lost. But it helps me to star it and make it stand out if you put a Q in the front. So put your podcast questions in the chat. Hi, Justin from Austin. I thought I had those backwards because if y'all don't know, if you're not from Texas, there is a Justin, Texas. So I was like transposing the two for a second. I'm like, oh, Austin from Justin. Nope, that's wrong. It's Justin from Austin, which isn't too far from where I am. So happy that you're here. You're making me hungry. I know. Tacos, like chips and salsa, chips and guac, like this isn't going to help. But I'm just telling you, this is literally what we eat every single Tuesday. When I tell people that, they think I'm a little, like, what, are you serious? Yes. Every single Tuesday. My kids know it. My husband knows it. When they ask me, hey, what are we going to do for dinner tonight? I'm like, well, what is today? And they say, Tuesday. I said, no, it's Taco Tuesday. Every single Tuesday. It happens, and it makes my life so much easier. Hello from Romania, Transylvania. So happy that you're here, Anna. Y'all, this is going to be so fun today. We have a global audience. Germany, Canada, the US. We have Romania. This is really fun. So if y'all have any questions, like I said, put them in the chat. But I wanted to chat a little bit about what today's podcast episode is about. So if you haven't already listened to it, this is the Profit Podcast. This is my weekly show. I was going to say my daily show. My weekly show where I put out really a lot of education for brand new podcasters, people that are looking to step up their game, or they're trying to just understand how a podcast can work for them, whether you have an online business or you would eventually like to have a business that's centered around your podcast, then this is the place you need to go to find really good information. But today's episode, you can see it scrolling there on the bottom, is all about, is my podcast message working? Like, is it really doing something? And if you're brand new, you haven't started, then you're not really going to know too much about it because I go into today's episode. This was actually a training. So let's back up for a second. I presented this training a few weeks ago, which is why this episode is a little bit longer than other episodes. Are usually between 25 and 35 minutes, especially whenever I do something that's solo. This one was 50. There's a reason. It is jam-packed full of information. Plus, I included the presentation slides that went with my original presentation. So I was asked to come and speak at the Christian Podcasters Association. So shout out to Eric and his team over there. He asked me to come in and teach for their community a little bit about messaging. I was like, yeah, sure, I'd love to. And so the few things that really stood out to me as I was preparing this was, okay, how do I know? Like, how do people actually know if what they're putting out on their podcast is really resonating with people? Not just, oh, I got a download. Yeah, because that's great. That's fantastic. And this is one of the reasons why I don't always talk about statistics, but I do think stats are important. But what's even better is when someone listens to your show, and that counts as a stat, and also they say, that was really helpful. Do you see the difference there? On one hand, you have someone that just passively listens to your show and they're like, okay, cool, check that off the box. I'll listen to that podcast today. And then on the other hand, you have someone that listens to that show and says, dang, that was really good. I'm going to go do what they told me to do. They're going to take action if you have a call to action, or they're going to go listen to another episode of your podcast, or whatever it is that you want them to do. But in order to identify, is that really working? Then you need to listen to this episode, because it was, I guess I'm biased. I created the whole presentation, but I got some really good feedback and everyone said it was really helpful. And it's some of the practices that I use to make sure that my content on YouTube, on my podcast, wherever I put out content that's podcast related, I can tell, is this actually resonating with my audience, with my people, with you, this community that's here today? So if you have any questions about that, let me know. But let me see. Hello, Monique. So happy that you're here. This is fun. Hi, Anthony. We have someone else from Toronto, Canada. This is so fun. Okay. Hi. So happy that you're here. This is great. This is great. I'm so happy that we have a bunch of people here live, because if y'all have any questions, and I already said this earlier, put a Q in front of your podcast questions and I will make sure and answer those while we're here live. But what I want to show you real fast is back to, is your podcast message working? If you go to this URL, crystalprofit.com/episode 314, you will be taken to this page right here. And I know all the branding colors, I need something that kind of pops a little bit more, I guess, because it's like all the colors are blending together. But whenever you go here, what I want you to do is scroll down. These are like all my show notes right here. You see where it says grab the presentation slides? That's what this is. It is literally every single slide, because what I do, and I didn't want to do this on video and then strip the audio from it, because I knew if I did that, because I've done this in the past, I would be way too heavily focused on the visuals. And I didn't want to focus on the visuals because it's a podcast, right? So if I did the whole presentation and then I just stripped the audio, you'd be like, Crystal, we can't see what you're talking about. Why are you even talking about this? So what I did is I added the presentation slides to the show notes. So what I would recommend, if you haven't listened to today's episode, go grab the slides first and then go listen to the episode. That way you can follow along, because there are some graphics that would be really helpful. I share some download statistic information that I don't go into, like I kind of skim over them briefly in the podcast because I know you can't see them, but I go into way more detail in the presentation slides. So all you have to do is go to scroll down to here and then put your name and your email address, and you'll be able to grab the copy of the presentation slides. And it's all of them. And it's literally my original presentation, because I knew that it would be super helpful. So how to know your podcast message is working. That's what today's podcast episode is all about. You can go grab the slides. You can see all the things that I did. And if you are in the market for creating a presentation, you could use that as kind of a template for what a presentation of this kind of audience would look like. I know that a lot of you have said you want to speak on more stages, you want to be on more podcasts. And if you want to know how I craft a presentation, there you go. There's your opportunity. This one ended up being around, I would say 45 to 50 minutes whenever I did the initial presentation. And then we had time for some Q&A at the end, which is typically what will happen whenever I speak on a virtual stage. Whenever I'm in person, it's more like 20 to 30 minutes, just depending on what kind of stage it is. So for anybody that's wondering about speaking on stages, or you want to know how that process works for me behind the scenes, that's a little insight. So yes, okay. I need help with cameras for going live. So Monique, I know Monique is in our Profit Podcast Facebook group. So if you want to join us over there, I highly, highly recommend it. Where is it? I know I have it here. So Facebook group is crystalprofit.com/podcast community. And the reason why I bring that up is because Monique asked this question about camera recommendations. And I have my good friend, Melanie Diane Howe, who has a fantastic YouTube channel all about live streaming. And she has specific cameras that she recommends. And I cannot think of what it is off the top of my head. And she'll tell you based on your budget, how you're actually going to use it. Are you just going to use it for streaming? Are you also going to use it for blogging? Because I know she has, or not blogging, vlogging. Like you're actually going to walk around your house and use it, or if you're just going to set it up in your office or wherever you work on your computer, then she has different recommendations. I want to say the Logitech Brio is the webcam that she has, and I want to say she recommends. I have a webcam that's the Logitech C920. And I think I've had that for about 4 years now. I don't use it. That's not what I have right here. But I do have it as a backup camera that I will use from time to time. But yeah, it's kind of like a secondary camera for me at this point. What you see here that I'm using for this live stream today is the Sony ZV-1. When did I get this? I got this in February or March of this year. And I love it. It's great. Now, Melanie told me, she's like, well, if you would have asked me, I would have told you not to get that camera. I'm like, oh, well, thank you. That's fantastic. Why? And she went to a few reasons why, but I don't even remember what they are. So I'm like, well, I have it now. So it's not, and I've been using it for a long time. So it's not like I'm going to get anything else. So this is what I have right now. But yeah, only for streaming, for lives on my computer. Okay, yeah, I would definitely reach out to Melanie and see, and you can do that in our Facebook group. So on that thread where we talked about the cameras, that would be really helpful. So I hope you get that figured out, and then you'll have to share with which one you decide to go with, because there's so many different options. And I know that you could even use your phone. I don't know how all that setup works because that's not my jam. I know how you can record a podcast on your phone really easily and do all that, but I'm like, she gets way more technical with the live streaming and how the broadcasts are set up. Like, she's super fancy and understands those things so much better. So yeah, I would definitely ask her. Okay, Anne has a question. She says, my podcast is a month old and I launched with an advertising budget and still boost post about new shows, but should I still mix ad money and all the free promos like social media, or let all the free options organically find my audience? So Anne, I have a few initial questions. When I'm thinking about your ad money, is that just on social media? Because if you do have a budget to advertise your podcast, I wouldn't limit that to social media. And here's why. And I don't even know who your audience is. I'm not familiar with your show, but I can tell you that advertising on social will only get you so far, because you don't know how many of those people, even if they're following you, actually listen to podcasts. But what I have seen, and I haven't done this personally, but it's something that I've been thinking about doing in 2022, is I've seen podcasters have a lot of success promoting their show on podcast platforms. So there is, and I cannot think of what it is off the top of my head. I don't remember if it's Overcast and Simplecast and some of these other players that are, it's not Apple, it's not Spotify, but it's some of these other smaller players that still, there's a big following on a lot of these that you can promote your show to people who are already listening to podcast. So there's a different conversion trying to take someone who's on social media and they're scrolling on Facebook, they're scrolling on Instagram or wherever you're thinking about promoting. I don't even know what the percentage is of how many of those people listen to podcasts. Maybe it's a lot, maybe it's not. But if you're advertising on a podcast platform, there's 100% of those people are listening to podcasts because that's why they're there. So that's one thing that I would tell you to consider as you look at your advertising budget. And then should I still mix and add and all the free promos like social media, or let all the free options organically find my audience? So I would love for you to clarify this last part of your question, because I don't know what you mean by all the free options. Like when you say free options, are you talking about SEO? Are you talking about Pinterest? Are you talking about other ways? Because yes, I know Instagram and Facebook is one of those things where you can boost post and put things out. But I also think of, depending on what your podcast is about, maybe having things on Pinterest, because that could be where your audience is. And that's a much better search engine for content. That could be a way for people to find you organically. Also on YouTube. So I have lots of thoughts on how to advertise a podcast on YouTube. And we actually, Thursday's episode, we're going to be diving into having a podcast and having a YouTube channel and what that can look like. But I want to know a little bit more about what you're thinking about the organic options for you to advertise your podcast. But yeah, those are great questions. You already launched with the advertising budget and you boost posts. Yeah, so let me know. Okay. Yes. So I see right here, social, and I did a Spotify ad. So did your Spotify ad perform well? Like, were you happy with the results? Because I don't have a lot of experience I know through other people. Like, I have a friend who advertised her podcast on Spotify, but she got more downloads, but not necessarily more subscribers. So you have to see, like, what is your overall goal? Are you trying to get like spikes in your downloads so you can get a sponsor, or are you trying to get long-time listeners? Because I think that your approach to how you're going to advertise is going to be slightly different depending on what your goal is. But yeah, great questions. Okay, guesting and social post. Oh, okay, yeah. So guesting is a fantastic way to organically share about your podcast. You're right. Yeah, I'll dig deeper on the podcast platforms. So there is, and I'm going to look it up, Buzzcast. No, it was on YouTube. I'm going to find you this one specific YouTube video that Buzzsprout did. And y'all should know, if you've been around here for a hot second, you know I love Buzzsprout. They are my hosting platform, and I've just used them from the beginning. But they did a really special YouTube video. Here we go. So I know I already have my screen shared. So right here, if you go to the Buzzsprout YouTube channel and you go over to the little search box, I just typed in advertising. This one right here is the video I watched, and they talked about, I don't even remember who, is it Overcast, Simplecast, but it's the podcast players that they took a budgeting amount and they went and spent some money, and then they share with the listeners and the audience their results. So go definitely go check that out. This one's good. And then this one's good as well. It just goes a little bit more into social promoting, but this is the one that I would love for you to go check out to get some recommendations for where to promote your podcast. So really good question. Let me come back over here. Okay. Not happy with Spotify. I got 1 click per 1,000 plays. So when you say a click, is that a click in your show notes, or is that a click to your show? See, I need to learn more about this. And this is all I needed to encourage me to learn more about advertising there, because I'm just I'm in the dark on it, only because I've been wanting to try it out, but I've had so many other it's in the priorities. It's been it just keeps falling and falling. But this is definitely bumped it up a little bit more, because I want to be able to help y'all with this. And like I said, I've heard other people doing it, but I haven't done it personally. So yeah. Yes, awesome, awesome. Go check out Buzzsprout. And for anybody watching, go subscribe to Buzzsprout's YouTube channel and go listen to their bi-weekly podcast that's called Buzzcast. Super, super helpful. Okay, so a download equals a click. Yeah, yeah, that's kind of hard, right? Um, I would be curious to know what your budget was too, because I've heard similar stories, and I don't know if it's a matter of how much money you spent, if you have to spend like $250 for a 30-day period, or how much it is. But I know I've heard similar things too, so that's what I was curious to see. But yeah, I would love for you to share your findings in the future if you decide to go with one of those other podcast players to advertise on, and let us know how that goes. Hi, Joshua says, what's your take on motivation podcast, and should the word motivation be in the title? Okay, this is a great question. I love a motivation podcast. I mean, let's be really honest. I listen to a lot of podcasts for motivation. I think that it might be a little bit harder to use that word simply because it might have already been taken. So motivation in the title can be really awesome, but I think you need to be very specific on, is this self-motivation? Are you teaching people how to motivate themselves? Or are you sharing stories of other people who you have been motivated by? Or are you a coach and you're trying to motivate other people? These are a few different ways that you can kind of look at the different take on it. But here's my secret. Are y'all ready? This is literally what I do for everything. I do this when I'm writing my emails, I'm writing social captions, I'm titling things. I love a thesaurus. And it's so simple, and so like I think it's because it's so simple that a lot of people overlook it. But if motivation, like let's say your title was The Motivated Entrepreneur, totally making this up, I don't know if that's a real podcast, but and you started looking and you're like, oh, it's taken. Well, what if you go into the thesaurus and I just type in motivation synonyms? And then I would look at these different words and see, well, does this resonate with me? Or will this still resonate with my audience the same way? If it does, then maybe you could write some of those down as options. But if you're like, no, it really needs to be the word motivate, then I would stick, or motivation, then I would stick with that, because you know how impactful that's going to be for you and your audience. So I got to say, I love motivation as a keyword. That was another point I wanted to make. I think that if I were looking for something personally, and again, I don't know what your podcast is about, but if I was looking for motivation for a burned out entrepreneur, right? That's really specific. That might be what I type in. And if I type those keywords in, and boom, your podcast pops up and says motivation for burned out entrepreneurs, I would say, oh my gosh, Joshua has the podcast I have been looking for, and I would go check it out and listen. So I think that for everybody that's listening and you're trying to start your podcast, you're trying to name your podcast, yes, I think that the title in and of itself is important, but it's also important to think about, how would a potential listener type what my podcast is about into Google? And I think that's an important piece. So for me, and you can follow it up with a killer tagline too. So it's the title, but then you also have a tagline, and that could go into your podcast description. So for me, if I tell you the Profit Podcast, right? This is the name of my weekly show, right? The Profit Podcast. You would say, I don't know what that's about. I'm assuming it's about money, but wait, she spelled it with 2 F's and 2 T's. Like what does that even mean, right? It's not really clear immediately what this podcast is about. But if you read my podcast description, which comes up if someone searches in a directory for this, or if they're looking for how to start, launch, and market a podcast, and they type that into Google or in YouTube or wherever, most likely my podcast will come up, because that is part of my tagline, and that's included in my description. So, yeah, Joshua, I have some really awesome podcast episodes about SEO, which is search engine optimization. It's how you rank in Google. So if anybody's watching and you want to know more about how to get your podcast, how to get your show notes, how to get everything to really rank higher in Google, go to the Profit Podcast, and you can type in SEO for podcasts. That's a really popular one. I've also had a few conversations with people that are experts in this area, so you can go check those out. But I hope that answers your question, or at least kind of steers you in the right direction. But let me know if you have any other follow-up questions, Joshua. It's really good. Do I need a web page before I start my podcast, Anthony? This is such a good question. Such a good question. And I have lots of thoughts on this. So I believe that all podcasts should have a website. Now hear me out. Hear me out. Because I know there's some people that are listening and you're like, I don't have a website. I want to start a podcast, but it feels overwhelming to create a website and start a podcast and start working on social media and start building my email list and, right? Like, it's just like, it's just the walls are crushing in and you're like, it's too much. I quit before I even get started. I know. I see you because I've been there. So I do believe that all podcasts should have a website or a web page on an existing website, but it's not where you have to get started. So if you host with Buzzsprout, which I do, that's what my show is hosted with. Now, I don't have this set up on the Profit Podcast, but I want to show you what I do have, because I do have my own website. So Anthony, I'm going to take your question down a little bit. So I'm logged into my Buzzsprout account, and this is what my website looks like, because I get one for free with Buzzsprout. So this is what it looks like on my end, and I can customize it. I can change the brand colors. I can put a background image up. I can do a lot of cool things, but this is what people see when they go to my Buzzsprout page. So they see my artwork, they see the title, they see the show description, and then if someone were to find this and they're like, oh yeah, I want to listen to this podcast, they could click on any of these links here and be taken to my show on their players. Plus, like, I could go on and on about how awesome this is. They have an opportunity to follow me on social, on YouTube, and then they can go to my crystalprofit.com website. So at bare minimum, I would love for all podcasters to have a podcast page like this. Okay? This is bare minimum. I would love for you to have a whole website dedicated to your podcast, but that's really aspirational. If you're just getting started, don't put that kind of pressure on yourself. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not. I would much rather see you optimize this and use it. But look, you can see all of my podcast episodes are here. You can see all of them. And then I could click on each individual episode and I could listen to it. So this is what I'm still on my Buzzsprout website, and you can go down and you can see all the different things that are loaded in my show notes. People can see a transcript. They can see everything that's here, and then they're able to share the episode. So for everyone, I'm going to hang on. We got to get big again here for a second. At bare minimum, I want you to have an optimized page just like this for your website. And you can do this with most podcast hosting providers. Now, people ask me about Podpage, and that is another cool resource, but I don't know enough about it. Like, I know that from other people in the industry that have endorsed it, and I trust them. So I know that's maybe we should go look that up. And that's something that I plan to do some YouTube content in the future about, but I don't know enough about it. And I can't endorse something if I don't know enough about it. That's just out of integrity for me. So to answer your question, Anthony, yes, you do need a web page, and using tools like this Buzzsprout page website is a great place to start. I'm also going to recommend, hang on, stand by, because I have a few videos for anybody that's watching. Let me see. I have this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. Okay. Y'all are going to laugh at me. You're going to laugh at me, but I'm going to show you these different. Okay, hang on. Just bear with me for a second, guys. Bear with me. I need to create a playlist about a podcast website. Maybe I have one, actually. Now that I'm saying that, I'm like, I could possibly have one. So I have one here. No. Just give me a second. I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to get my life together, okay? I'm trying to get my act together. Here we go. Okay, I was trying to figure out the best way to do this. All right. So in here, this is the back end of my YouTube. I have these 4 videos right here, all about different ways that you can create a podcast webpage or a podcast website, because they're a little bit different, right? A web page I would consider just a standalone page. Like if you go to crystalprofit.com/podcast, this is what I would consider a web page. And this is just on my podcast, or this is on my regular podcast page. Website. That's what I meant, not podcast page. This is my podcast page on my website. There we go. Words are hard. Sometimes I get them right. Sometimes I don't. So this is on my main website, and all it has my logo, and then I've embedded the Buzzsprout player in here, and then I have links to the most recent episodes, and you can go back and listen to old ones, but it's a little bit more detailed, right? It has a lot more. I think this is aspirational. This is a web page for a podcast. I have reviews. I have like all the things. I think that this is a little bit more above and beyond what you're talking about, right? This is next level. This is like step 4, not step 1. I think that this is more of a baby step. This is an easy way to set up a web page for your podcast because you don't even have to create it. Like, let's be really honest. Let's go back to Buzzsprout for a second. All I did was change the colors and uploaded some, I don't even remember where I added my social links and stuff. Oh, look right here. Social media links. That's where I put all that. And then website, I put that here. And then this is all I did. And then I click that button and boom, I got a website. So that's what I recommend if you're just getting started. But I want to go back to, I opened up a few of these. Where it is. Okay. So these are the 4 videos on my YouTube channel. So go to youtube.com/crystalprofit, and you can type in on my main channel in the little bubble, search bubble website, and these 4 videos will pop up. So there's one about creating a website for your podcast, and then how to create one that's really easy, and that's with Buzzsprout. And then if you want to get more technical and you have a domain, right? So let's go back to Joshua, right? He has a podcast about motivation, and let's just call it the Motivated Entrepreneur Podcast. Well, if he owned that domain, but he wanted it to point to his Buzzsprout page, I'm going to show you how to do that because that is in this YouTube video right here. So a podcast website with a custom URL. That's exactly what we've created here. And I walk you step by step how to do that in Buzzsprout. So I hope that helps. Let me know, Anthony, if I just totally overwhelmed you and you're like, Crystal, you just gave me like 4 more things to do. and you told me I need to have a website, but I don't need to have one right now. Yeah, you don't. It's not a first step. I always tell brand new podcasters that come to me stressed out. They're like, I know I need a website. I know I need to go pay someone thousands of dollars. I'm like, no, what? No, you don't. Who told you that? That is bad information. Like, no. That is not what you need to do. You will not hear me tell anybody to do that because you already have awesome tools and resources that you can use for free. I know. I always say I'm not going to sing, but it ends up happening. Okay. So let me give me other questions, y'all. We're here for a few more minutes. Let me know what other questions you have. Joshua says, I want to tell you my title, but I won't give it away. He says, I don't want y'all to snatch it. That's really what he's saying. He's like, it's really good. It's a really good title. Joshua, now I'm on pins and needles. So I can't wait for you to share it when you've launched your podcast. So for anybody that is going to be launching in January. This is really important. Please pay attention because I talked about this about a week or two ago, but I cannot stress this enough. What happens is every year, brand new podcasters are excited. They're excited to launch their podcast. It's coming out, like it's coming January 2022. It's going to be here. Which still sounds really weird to say 2022. That's a side note. But if you do not get your podcast listed, pay attention here. Like if you're doing something else, come back to me right now because there will be a few cogs in the machine that is Apple. There will be longer wait times because every year, everybody does the same thing. Because if there's 10 of you watching here and you're like, I'm going to launch my podcast. I've been thinking about it. I want to do it. I'm going to launch it. It's coming January 2022. There's thousands of other people that are doing the same thing. And if everybody submits at the same time, the week before January, you're going to be waiting. Because if you did not know this, it typically takes longer than 24 hours for you to hit publish when you're first getting connected. Okay, let me like rephrase that. When you're first getting your podcast hosting set up, it does not typically show up in a 24-hour period. It could take up to a week. It could take up to 2 weeks. It could take longer depending on how many people are submitting. So if you are launching a podcast in January, it's already December 14th. I recommend you at least get your artwork ready and you get a trailer episode ready. If you need to know what a trailer episode is, what is in it, go to my YouTube channel, go to the podcast, go listen there because I'll tell you exactly what to say. I will tell you verbatim my thoughts on creating a podcast trailer and how to do it really easily. But you need to put that out there and get your show connected if you're wanting to launch in January. So let's say you wanted to launch on January 4th. I'm just picking a random day. I don't even know what day of the week that is. But you're launching on January 4th, but you're not connected. And you go to publish everything on the 3rd, January 3rd. You're like, okay, I'm going to get everything ready the day before and I'm going to hit publish. And then you go to your podcast the next day and you're like, refreshing Apple. Like you're pulling the screen down. You're like, where is it? It's not here. Well, it takes 7 to 10 days, sometimes 7 to 14 days to have everything done because, to my knowledge, this is more of a manual process. I think that with other platforms, I think Spotify is usually a lot faster. Google is a little bit faster, but Apple, which Apple is always the one that people really want to be in, it could take a little bit longer. So there's my like cautionary tale. I don't want you to wait until the week before of January to get all your podcast hosting set up. Go check out the podcast, go look at my YouTube channel, or you can join us I have a digital course that walks you through how to set up your podcast in 30 days or less, like literally everything. So Joshua, the titling, we talk about understanding your listeners. We talk a little bit about SEO and how to set up your podcast description. We talk like literally every single thing you need to know. We talk about a launch plan, how to promote your podcast whenever you get started. So if you want to know more about Profit Podcasting, which this is my digital course. I know I have a little sticker of it. Oh, there it is. Profit Podcasting. You can go to crystalprofit.com/course to learn more about it. And then if you're just launching, I also have the Ultimate Podcast Launch Toolkit. I always forget to talk about my toolkit. This is for people that just need help launching. You're like, I already know what I'm doing. I've got my name. I just need help launching. This is like one of my most affordable products at $37. So yeah, super affordable to help you just get your podcast launched out into the world. And it will tell you exactly like there's a spreadsheet in there that you put in your launch date and it'll say, okay, you need to have this, this, and this done before you're ready to launch your podcast. So yeah, y'all go check those out. Let me see. What other questions do y'all have? Oh, I didn't realize I could. Oh, I just moved my comments back here and behind the scenes in StreamYard. I don't know what I'm doing still, guys. I do a lot of clicking around. That's how I learn things and how I fix things. But I'm like, something moved. I don't know what happened, but it's good. All right. Awesome, Anthony. Yes, some things to think about. I would love for you to come back and tell us what you end up doing with your webpage or what your plans are. I think it just depends on where you are in your stages as to what will work out best for you. Yes. How often do you do lives? This is helpful. Well, thank you so much, Joshua. I'm glad that you're here. So I do my live streams usually on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Central. But with the holidays coming up, I think that I'll have my last one next Tuesday on the 21st, I believe. Ooh, it'll be good if I get that. Ooh, 21st. I never get dates right. So the 21st, Tuesday the 21st at 10 a.m. will be my last live stream until January because I'm going to have my kids home. So I have 3 kids. If anybody's like brand new here, I have 3 kids. Friday is their last day of school, so they will probably be here making noise in the background on Tuesday when we go live, but it's fine. I know you don't care. You just care about podcasting information, so it's fine. It's fine. We'll be good. We'll survive one live stream with Nerf wars and kids screaming in the background. It's fine. But yeah, I do these every Tuesday, so go ahead and everybody add that in their calendar. Like Crystal going live to talk about podcasting every Tuesday. We're usually here for about 60 minutes. Sometimes we go longer, sometimes we go shorter, just depending on what we're talking about. Typically what I'll do is come and talk about the latest piece of content, whether it's a podcast episode or a YouTube video. That's what we'll start off talking with. And then we'll talk about everybody's podcast questions. And then I usually will just go into some industry news or something that I have found felt helpful for my own show. But yeah. Very good point. Always feels like a rolling start with podcasting. Yes. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Oh my gosh. Thank you for the live chats. Very helpful. I'm glad y'all found this helpful. I recorded a podcast earlier. Hang on one second. I recorded a podcast earlier and I can tell, sorry, this is like, my voice is all scratchy now. I can tell the ones that I'm more passionate about because my throat gets like this. I don't know what it is. And I'm like, I don't want to give it away. I'm kind of like Joshua right now. I'm like, I don't want to give it away. I have a really good episode coming up. It's not the one that I recorded today, which I was really passionate about that one too. But I have a case study episode where I'm listening to this other really popular podcast that I've listened to for years and years. And I'm going back and I listened to her very first podcast episode and I could hear the difference in her voice. I can hear her being a little bit more timid, her being a little bit more shy versus what she's putting out today. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's kind of how I feel about my voice today. So the episode I recorded was, I just got pretty passionate about it. Kind of like I did when Anthony asked me about web pages. I'm like, oh, I get really, really excited, really passionate about this. So I tell all of you this, not to talk about, oh, my voice will probably be scratchy for the rest of the day, but to let you know that people pick up on that. People can tell, what if I were just to show up today and talk to you like this and just not be as involved or as energetic about it because I feel really shy and I'm a little, no guys, I feel awkward. Like when I tone myself down, I get really uncomfortable internally because that's not me. That is not me. If you've listened to the podcast, if you've watched my YouTube videos, you know, like something's up with Crystal if she's being quiet because that's not who I am. So this is just a gentle reminder to show up how you are. Show up exactly how you are. Yes, I'm loud. Yes, this is why I got a dynamic microphone. So if you don't know more about dynamic versus condenser microphones, I used to have a Blue Yeti, which is a condenser microphone, which typically picks up all the surrounding noises in your environment. I have tile floors. I have windows here. I have glass doors here. And so it's loud. There's still echo in this office. But with a dynamic microphone, it doesn't pick those up. With my Blue Yeti, it picked up everything in here. And I was not going to soundproof this entire room because let's just be honest, it would cost way too much money and I'm too cheap for that. So I wasn't going to do it. But instead, I invested in a dynamic microphone. And even with me being so loud, it's still fine. So I prefer to adapt your environment, adapt your equipment to how you typically talk to other people and how you show up versus the other way around. I don't want you changing who you are, how you talk to people, how you communicate just because you're trying to do that for your audience or for your equipment or for whatever, right? Like this is just something that I feel really passionate about. So I don't know why that makes my skin crawl a little bit, like sitting here whispering to you, because that's not me. That's not me. It's not my jam, right? Hey, she's here. She has arrived. So Monique, I don't know if you're still here, but if you, Monique or Melanie, Monique has a question about live streaming and cameras, and she wants recommendations for just using, she says only live streaming or only streaming for lives on my computer. She wants to know what camera to use. Y'all, this is my good friend Melanie Diane, and y'all should go follow her channel immediately, because she's the one that teaches me the things about StreamYard and the things about live streaming, and she's the only reason why I have any of these fancy tools for putting your comments up and doing these little scrolly things at the bottom and my countdowns at the beginning and I wouldn't know how to do any of that. So yeah, Mel, we need your camera recommendations for live streaming, because that would be really helpful. So y'all go follow Melanie's channel, because she just has all the amazing things there. Oh, good. Thank you so much. You really bring added value. Well, you are so welcome. I'm glad that you're here. And I'm glad that everybody's here today, because I so appreciate it. I know that y'all could be doing 1,000 other things, and maybe you are. Maybe you're having lunch, maybe you're drinking coffee, maybe you're working on something else and you just have this tab open in another window. That's okay. That's fine with me, because that's kind of what people are doing when they listen to podcasts too, right? They have things on in the background. But I think it's really cool that, I'm glad that you're here. It's always a lot of fun having a lot of interaction in the group. Oh, I'll do a custom response for her in your group. Okay. So here's another reason to join our Facebook group. So if you're not in our Facebook group, go to crystalprofit.com/podcast community, and it's going to link directly to our Facebook group. But look, you'll have people like Mel who say, I'm going to do a custom response for her, because I bet she'll probably put some links in there and she'll put names of a few recommendations. So y'all come join us in the Profit Podcast online community, because we have lots of conversations. If you want to connect with other podcasters, I mean, Joshua, if you're still here and you decide on a few different names that you want to use for your podcast, you could put them out in the group and say, hey, what do y'all think about this? Or, here's 3 options. I'd love for you to vote, because then that way you don't have to tell people the one you're really leaning towards. But I don't know, maybe you're still a little skeptical. You're like, I don't want to share it. It's an amazing name. I don't want anyone to know it. And that's fine too. You don't have to come share it, but we would love for you to come join us. Scrolly things is a technical term. It really is. I mean, do you want to have a conversation about technical terms, Mel? Because don't throw me under the bus about technical terms, because I will come at you with hootenanny. This is one that she says so I know Melanie really well, and I can razz her a little bit, because she says hootenanny all the time, and it kills me. Like, I don't know why. I think it's the most hilarious thing that she says, and I'm like, what are you even talking? What is hootenanny? Did you say this growing up? Is this something you always said? But I say things that are just as ridiculous. So yeah, this is the kind of fun that we have on a regular basis. All right. Yes. Monique and Mel getting everything figured out. Your group is only 18 away from 1,000 members. Whoa. That is crazy. I was looking at that the other day, because I got an influx of requests to come into the group. So 18. So if you're watching this and you're not part of our Facebook group, I would love for you to join us to get us to 1,000. That is 1,000 people that are interested in podcasting, having an online business, working out all the things that we talked about with Anthony earlier when it comes to building a website, like connecting your web page and your social accounts and like doing all those things. So that's really awesome. I didn't realize that. Thank you for bringing that up, Mel. Yeah, it's Texas. It's Texas, which is funny because Melanie doesn't live in Texas. She is in Indiana. And I just, the things that I say and the things that we say, yeah. My favorite technical term is a whatchamajig. I don't know that I've ever heard you. I just usually say, the thing that goes on the thing. And then I rely heavily on hand gestures. Like whenever I point to things, which is funny because I'm a podcaster and you usually can't see me. So I have to be a little bit more descriptive. So I think that that's what I rely on. I rely on descriptions and I rely on making sure that I can, like, oh, this thing. Oh, wait, you can't see me. Okay, so I'm putting my hands up like this. I know we're getting into a whole other thing. Yeah, whoop, whoop. Monique is a member of our Facebook group and you should just come. Oh, look. Ann says, I just joined. Your group came up as a recommendation from Facebook when I was in another podcast group. Well, awesome. I'm so happy that you're here today, Ann, and I'm excited to hear more about your podcast. And I would love for you to come and share about if you start advertising on another platform, the results that you get. Because like I said, I just want to know more about how people are getting results and what type of conversions that are happening from podcast players, because it's going to be different for everybody, right? Some people are just going for more downloads. Some people want traffic to their website. Some people want subscribers to their show. And there's a lot of different nuances to measure that. Unfortunately, you can't just go to one place and measure all of those metrics. You have to go to many different places, but I would love to know the results that you have after you run any more campaigns for sure. Y'all are funny. We're a hot mess. Like, we're a hot mess most of the time. If you missed the top of the hour, like, this is my favorite show. This is my friend Rita. We have finally named her. Like, Happy Taco Tuesday. Like, this is the kind of shenanigans that we typically get into around here, because taking yourself seriously is just, I can't do it. I can't do it. So I hope that that's why y'all are here and why you keep coming back. So yes. Okay. Can I just vent? Yes, Joshua, you can always come vent. Okay, this is a safe space for all the venting you need to do about creating content for sure. I wrote my first episode yesterday. I'll be reading from a teleprompter and it deleted. Okay, so I am one of those glass half full. See, words are hard. Words are hard sometimes. I am a glass half full, and I want you to take the optimistic perspective on this bad situation, right? Because I mean, it's crappy. That sucks. Like, I'm definitely gonna acknowledge that that's a crappy thing. However, but that just means you did your first run through. You did your first draft, because if you wrote it out, right, whether it was in a Google Doc, it's in a notebook, like however you wrote it out yesterday, hopefully you have a lot of that already in your mind. And what I recommend, if you don't already do this, this is like the pro tip that so many people have said, oh my gosh, that changed my life. In Google Docs, you can go in there, you go under tools, and there is what's called voice typing. So for anybody that's trying to create a script, or you want to create like a loose format, a loose outline, go into Google Docs, turn on voice typing, and just speak about all the things you remember that were in there. It's not going to be perfect. The formatting may be a little wonky, but you'll at least have a lot of the information that you remember. And so it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's better than nothing. And that can at least help you get some of your notes situated so you're not just have the blank cursor staring at your face, because let's be honest, that's the worst. It's the worst. Opening a brand new Google Doc and the cursor's just staring at you, blinking like, come on, what are you going to write? What are you going to create today? And you're just thinking, I just want to throw you across the room. And I'm talking to my computer, of course. So that is a vent. That sucks, Joshua. I'm sorry that happened, but just think of that. you got it under your belt, and now hopefully whatever happened, I don't know if it was like a saving issue or something, like this happens to everybody. Y'all, if you don't know my very first story of my first podcast interview, my microphone was not plugged in. My microphone was not plugged in. Do you see this microphone? Oh, right here on the wall. This is my very first $20 Amazon microphone, and it's just a USB plug and play. The day that I started my podcast, I did my first interview. We moved. I have a desk, like where everything's sitting on top of a desk. It was broken, and so they were coming to replace it. There was movers that came in the house. They took out the old desk and they replaced it with a new one because it was broken. Had to take everything off the desk. Had to put it back on. I did not plug in my microphone. I didn't. I did the whole interview and my microphone wasn't plugged in. I was so excited to listen to this interview whenever it was finished. And I was like, wait, I only hear her voice. Like, what is wrong? What happened? What did I do wrong? And then I realized my microphone was not plugged in. So, and I have tons of other stories. I mean, we could vent about stories of all the mistakes that I've had in the last almost 4 years of doing this and how I've screwed up royally. So just know it happens to the best of us, and use it as a learning moment and just move on. But yeah, definitely go open up Google Docs, turn on that voice typing and just start talking and get some of those notes out. And then that way you have something that can really, really be helpful. Rita is the best. Rita is the best. She's my favorite. Y'all, if you're just not getting here, I got to show her again because she's my favorite. I'm glad that we named her today because she's the mascot of Taco Tuesday. I'm so glad that she has a name. I'm going to have to make tacos tonight. I know this I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. I'm not going to apologize for telling you to go eat some amazing tacos because it's just totally worth it. Okay, yeah, for sure. I'm keeping all my stats. So Anne is talking about she's going to try some promotion on some podcast players, and she's going to come back and share in the group. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know if you can recover it. I'm already halfway done with the rewrite. Okay, awesome. See, this is, you needed to come vent here just to get the motivation that it's fine. Like, it's fine. Everything's fine. Melanie, this is the GIF that I need. I need a fire GIF, where it looks like the whole room is on fire and we're just saying, it's fine. Everything's fine. We have got to, we've got to do it. Yeah, you got this. Okay. Send me your Rita file. I'll make you another one with her over to the side. Mel, I don't know. I don't even know that I want to fix her. I mean, she's not broken. Rita is who she is, and I don't even know if I want her as a little baby GIF. I think I want her to take up the whole screen because that's who she is. That is her personality. She wants to say, I'm here. It's Taco Tuesday. Okay? I'm just saying. I don't know that we need to put her in a box. I think that she needs to be loud and proud because it is Taco Tuesday. And I'm like, yes. Oh, fire GIF coming your way. I need a fire GIF, like ASAP. And then it could just, I don't know if it needs to say, I'm fine, or if it just needs to have fire like everywhere. Yeah, Rita is all up in your face, and I am okay with it because look how cute she is. Like, I don't even care. Like, I want to move. Hang on, let me move this way. I want to move to the side because I feel like she needs the stage. She needs the stage, okay? She has earned it. Y'all, we're not even talking about podcasting anymore. We're just into all the shenanigans because it's Taco Tuesday. But y'all, it is actually lunchtime too. My stomach is growling and I've been trying to ignore it. And I'm like, no, it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. I need a raining tacos. Mel, this is the one we need. So we need a fire GIF for our StreamYard setup here. Then we need raining tacos. And if you need some inspiration, Google, oh my gosh, what is his name? Perry. What is his name? It's Raining Tacos. That's the name. Oh my gosh. Perry Grip. That's what it is. Perry Grip. PARRYGRIPP. I only know this because I have 3 boys that are 12, 9, and 6, and they listen to these things. It's Raining Tacos. Yes, like we need something like tacos just coming down the whole screen, not like a little like corner ones. Like yes, y'all look. See, this is why you gotta go follow. We gotta go follow Mel because she's hooking me up with all of the gifs. This is awesome. Leave it up to me to always take your stream off topic, but that's fine. That's fine because we are Mel. Tell us when are you going live today? Mel goes live every Tuesday too, so y'all can hit like watch this show about podcasting and then go watch her show about live streaming because she always brings something. So Mel, you're so lucky to have me as your friend. Oh, I need like little hearts. We do. Like I'm super lucky. Tell us when you're going live today, Mel. Okay, in 1 hour. 1 hour. So everybody, I mean, depending unless you're on the east, west. If you're on the West Coast, it's probably too early for lunch. But for everybody else, she's going live 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central. So I'm going to go grab lunch and then I'm going to go watch Mel do her thing over on her YouTube channel. So go follow her YouTube channel if you want to learn more about live streaming or video podcasting, like all the things. I would love for you to go hang out with her. But y'all, this was so fun today. Y'all made today's an hour flew by so fast. I will be back next Tuesday on the 21st, 10 a.m. Central for our last live stream of 2021. Okay, so 21st, 10 a.m. Central, come hang out. We're going to be talking about my big case study that I'm working on. I'm like gathering all the information and this is going to be a big case study. It actually won't even be live when we do the live stream, but I'm going to give you a sneak peek into what I'm creating because it's going to be pretty cool. All right, y'all, have a fantastic day. And as always, remember, keep it up. We all have to start somewhere. Bye, y'all.